player, how does Jayson Tatum make your life easier on a day in, day out basis?
I think he makes everyone's life easier. One, because of who he is as a person, the type of character he has. I think as your franchise player has to be the cornerstone of what you do. It starts with his high character, just the way he carries himself, who he is as a dad, or who he is as a teammate, his availability. He's there for every single practice, every single game. Loves being coached and just carries himself the best way. So there's no one like him. He's great.
Chris, back left.
Joe, Chris Mannix, Sports Illustrated. When it's not always easy for a star player to fit into a group of other stars. When Kristaps came here, how quickly did you recognize that he would be able to kind of seamlessly fit into what you guys do?
Right away. I mean, I think just all he cares about is winning. Like, I think he's used the experiences that he's had around the league. He's seen a lot. He's seen it all. He's seen success. He's seen tough times, so he knows what the league is all about. And I think at this point in his career, winning is the most important thing. So, but it's both sides, right? Like he had to do his part to fit in, but we had to do our part as a team and guys that have been here before to also, meet him where he's at because of his ability to play at such a high level. So I think it was just both.
Tim, back left.
Tim Reynolds with the Associated Press. What's the value for you in learning from coaches who aren't in basketball, from studying guys who are successful in other walks of sport life? What is that value for you?
I think it's more like the things that lead to success are the same. You're in locker rooms, and regardless of the sport, or even if you're in like a company, everybody's saying the same thing. The things that go into winning, the things that go into success. Toughness, togetherness, connectivity, the mindset you bring, all the same. It's just a matter of getting the right group of people in the right spots, and then just working to feed that mentality every single day. So it's definitely, you can learn from anything and everything. So try to stay as open-minded as you can.
Standing on the left.
Joe, Zach Cox, Boston Herald. How is Jayson today different than the player he was when you first got here?
He's every year he just has the open-mindedness to get better. And so if you have that, you're naturally going to be different. But also, like, from the first time we were there, you've just been through other stuff. We've been through success, we've been through failures, we've won, we've lost, we've had pain, we've had triumph. So, you use the things that you've been through every single year to just make yourself better on and off the court. And that's kind of where we're all at as a team, is just using those goods and bad to use us for where we're at right now.
Up front.
Hey Joe, Shane on Forbes Sports. With Jrue defensively, I think a lot of people point out the physical attributes and his capabilities in that regard, but what is he like as a communicator and from the mental side on defense?
Yeah, he can process information, he can process situational basketball, he has an awareness to what's going on in the court. So he has an innate ability to just communicate that in real time because of his ability to just kind of take that all in. Who has the ball, who's the matchup, where's the help, what's the spacing, who can you help off of, who can, when can you make a play. So he's just got great instincts, and that allows him to kind of just communicate at all times.
Gary, next question.
Joe, Gary Washburn, Boston Globe. Now that you're so close to the finish of the journey, how are you kind of taking it all in? Are you trying to enjoy this? Are you locked in, focused when you're at home with the kids? Like, how are you kind of digesting hour by hour? Because it's been a long wait. And then before this ultimate kind of cage match that, you're UFA guy, you can relate to that.
Yeah, I would say this is not the end of the journey. The journey is for however long you're alive. So, this is just one piece to that. And regardless of what happens, you gotta wake up the next day and do your job. So the journey will, forever be there. So you're just ready for it. So you do everything within your control to prepare for it, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and then tomorrow you just get after it. And then the game, the environment will tell us what we need to focus on, where we need to get better, what we need to do. But most important thing is just kind of staying even keeled and staying poised. And I think that's something our team's done a good job of throughout the year.
Second row over here on the left.
Hi Joe, Alder Alma from Phil Stardado. You've been here before, you moved 2 years ago, but as an assistant coach. What has changed in your approach now that you're the head coach, and what did you learn from that NBA Finals experience?
Yeah, I had a good seat, had great perspective in that, and I think the biggest thing to learn is like what goes into winning in the NBA Finals is the same as last series before that, regular season, preseason, practice, training camp. It's the details, it's the execution, it's the ability to take your mindset and your body to the next level. The toughest team will win. The team that makes the most plays will win, and the team that can execute the details at a high level will win. It's no different. That's the biggest thing we took as we were going through that series against the Warriors. The things we kept coming back to, the things that we kept talking about the entire year, the margins, the details, the fundamentals, the way you go about executing at a high level.
Mark, back right.
Coach, Mark Spears, ESPN Zaxby. Talk about just what you recall from the two J's and emotion when you guys lost last time, and just what they took from that, and if you see a little, you know, kind of different mentality coming into this finals.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's not the only moment I think that those guys are using to get better. I think the coolest thing about where Jaylen has been is just kind of his surrender to anything external, and the most important thing is his growth and development as a person and as a player. That's all he cares about, is getting better. And I think that's been really cool to see. And I think it's the same for Jayson. So, you know, you can pick numerous experiences that everybody in our locker room has been through that you need to be able to use for the situation that we're in now. And that will remain the same for the rest of our careers. And I think it's all about just using what you've been through, good, bad, and different, to help you in the present moment. And I think that, you know, guys are doing that.
John, standing in the back.
Joe, John Corrales, Boston Sports Journal. You talk about staying in the moment, doing the same things that go into winning from before. How do you do that now with the brightness of the lights, the bigger stage, and all this extra stuff? How do you stay in the moment? How is that different from the regular season? How do you get the guys to kind of stay in the moment and treat everything the same way?
Yeah, I mean, unless they change the light bulbs in the arenas, they won't be any brighter than they were last series. And it's just sticking to the details and the things that matter and the truth. The truth of the matter is, if you don't box out, if you don't sprint back in transition, if you don't pass the ball in a 2-on-1, if you don't take away the other team's tendencies, if you don't know who you're guarding, if you don't recognize the spacing, if you don't talk, if you don't play hard, you're not going to win. And it's like focusing on the most simple things and the truth of the matter is you have to do those things. You got to do them at a high level. And, you know, obviously the stakes are higher, but that just means that the details are more important.
Michael, last question, third row in the middle.
Michael Pina, the Ram. Joe, what does Brad Stevens mean to you, and what does he mean to this organization as someone who's just been here for 11 years?
Yeah, I mean, everybody in the organization is a leader in their own way, and everybody sets the temperature when they come in. Brad giving me my start, hiring me, empowering me from day one as an assistant, and giving me some of the opportunities that he has, but also the way he carries himself. Like I've always had a lot of respect for how he went about coaching, how he kept family and his family balance number one, how he treated people number one, and that was always more important than whether there was a success or a failure. And I think he kind of spearheads the leadership and you know, the temperature of the building just as everybody else does.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks.
Around the room, we'll take the first question over here in the third row on the left.
Jason, Matt Couture, Mass Live. There comes a point for great players where you get defined by whether or not you've won a championship. How much, for you personally, does it mean to get one, and how much is that part of your motivation?
I think I would say part of my motivation is I just love to win, and understanding the moment that I know how hard it is to get to the finals, and you know, you think that you're young and you've been once, that you'll just continue to keep going, and we realized that last year. We kind of took it for granted at certain moments, and we didn't make it to the finals, and this year put things in perspective, and I think you can see in our excitement, right, when we won the conference. Obviously that's not the end all be all, but it really is tough to get to this moment. So I think right now, just staying present in the moment. I'm not thinking about, you know, what it would mean for my legacy or anything like that. Just excited to play some basketball after this long break, and go out there and try to get the job done.
Back left, Tim.
Jayson Tatum notes with the AP. Even though you'd already won an Olympic gold medal and you've won a bunch of, hundreds of games here, obviously, when you look back at 22, do you almost feel like you had to go through it to understand what's different about this stage and what it takes to win the ultimate thing in this league?
I mean, I guess I hate that I had to go through it. I wish we would have won. But you know, I'm a firm believer in everything happens for a reason. There's a lesson to be learned in every situation. And I do feel a lot different this time. This go around 2 years later. I'm excited for the opportunity for us to get the job.
Mark, back right.
Mark Spears, ESPN Landscape. Jayson, is this maybe it's perhaps it's the case with the Lakers, but does this franchise have a different pressure on it with all the banners, with all the legends, with trying to be amongst those names when it's all said and done? That in order to truly be there, you have to win a championship to do that.
I mean, you know the answer to that, of course. Right? We only hang NBA championship banners, right? 17 of them. Some of the greatest players ever played this game wore this uniform, and you know, all of us are honored to follow in their footsteps, the way that they paved for us to live out our dreams. So essentially, yeah, if you want to be one of the greats, right, to put on this uniform, every great before you won a championship, and that's what we try to play for every single season. The expectations are obviously different here, and it takes special players to be here and be a part of an environment like that.
Second row here on the left.
Jason, Nick Galley, Field Level Media. You guys bring in Jrue Holiday this offseason. He obviously had the title run with Milwaukee. Does he kind of offer a new perspective on the finals that maybe you guys didn't realize when you had your run 2 years ago?
Yeah, with his presence in the locker room, obviously on the court, he just brings a different dynamic. I've said it all season, we're so lucky to have him on our team. Jrue literally does any and everything that we ask and that we need. And more than that, he's capable, right? He can hit big shots, obviously get a big stop, guard the 5-man if we need him to. So, we're very, very lucky to have him.
Gary over here on the left.
Jason, Gary Washington, Boston Globe. You've probably been the most scrutinized player during this postseason.
Think so?
Yeah, I think so. To how much you smiled or didn't smile when Jaylen won the MVP and things like that. How has it motivated you for this moment? Have you turned off social media when your son says something, or your friends like your mother? How have you dealt with the scrutiny, and how has this kind of built you for this moment that you're about to face now?
I think more so than me, right? It's like my mom, my grandma, my family and friends. They're more bothered by it than me. And I understand, like, if Deuce was to make it to the NBA and people were talking about him every single day, as a parent, I wouldn't be able to separate the superstar from the child. So my mom took it a little tougher than maybe I did. But for me, I don't take it personally, right? It's a long break without NBA basketball, so they had to overanalyze every little thing and have something to talk about. Did it get old? Yeah, but it's the finals. They wouldn't talk about me if I wasn't good, so trying to take some positives out of it and change the channel.
Tanya, back right.
Tanya Gangoli, New York Times. You were talking a bit ago about sort of the legacy of this franchise and the weight that puts on you, not you personally, but the weight that puts on any Celtics team. I'm curious, though, for you personally, is it helpful for you to think about the big expectations of the franchise? Is that motivating, or do you prefer, as you're going through the playoffs, to keep that out of your mind and think a little more narrowly about what's in front of you?
Yeah, and honestly, it's like I don't think about the future or what this may mean for me down the road. Just as simple as it sounds, just trying to stay present, understand the moment, enjoy it, right? Keep talking about pressure. It's NBA Finals, like this shit is supposed to be fun, and that's kind of where I'm at with it. Is like I'm in the NBA Finals. I have a second opportunity to win the championship. I want to enjoy it. I want to enjoy the moment, enjoy it with my teammates and my family. So that's where my narrow focus is at. Is about competing at a high level, finally getting to play tomorrow, and just having fun. Just going out there and doing what I love to do.
Jabari back left.
What's up, bro?
Oh shit.
I feel like, well, first of all, Jabari Smith, NBA correspondent. I feel like this league is a lot of expectation. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna try to shift it a little bit. What would you say to somebody going into their third year who hasn't really lived up to the expectation that has been set on him? What would you say to somebody going into that?
I would say that somebody that has been through that, right? How old are you?
21.
21. I've been in that situation. Everybody else in the world that's your age, that's 21, is still probably in school trying to figure out what they want to do in life. And we come into the league at such a young age, and they want us to be perfect right away. And this is part of growing up. You're still growing up. I'm still growing up. And it's a process, right? Nothing was accomplished overnight. And I think you'll find a value in tough times, the ups and downs, just what life brings you. Damn, I sound like a real old person. Just in the sense of like your career, I would just say, man, enjoy it, right? It's going to be some great times. There's going to be some times that aren't so great. And it's okay to be upset, because that means you care, right? You want to be great. And people believe that you can. They just try to rush the process. And it takes however long it takes. But, as long as you work hard, you believe, you got the right support system. Obviously, you just down in Houston, I know all those guys, coaches, and everything will take care of itself how it's supposed to.
For sure. Appreciate you. Good luck to you, too.
Thank you.
The last one in the back in the middle.
Hey Jason, drafteados from Spain. A lot of NBA legends lost his first finals and then came back and they won. What's the biggest lesson that you learned from the first NBA finals that you played?
Biggest lesson, and I give a lot of credit to that team, right, the Warriors. I think, we understood what it took to get there, and, they understood what it took to get over the hump. That was a really special team that didn't make many mistakes, obviously well coached, and they just been there before. And in some of those tough moments, when I go back and look, you can tell that, they had been there before. And it was a lesson to be learned. And I, told myself that if I ever got the opportunity again to make it to the finals, that never take it for granted. And, obviously, we're here now, and thankful to be here. And I'm excited to get ready to play and have fun tomorrow.
Thank you. Jaylen Brown will be in shortly. Ready for questions? Please raise your hand. We've got the microphones around the room. Dave, back right on one.
Jaylen, Dave McMahon with ESPN, going in the back to your right. You got Kyrie Irving on the other side of things, former teammate of yours, and certainly one of the better players in the league with ball in his hands. What was it like having him as a teammate? How was that formative in your career, and just the defensive challenge of going up against a guy like him? What does it take to stop him?
Well, I think it was like 5 questions. I think it was great. Definitely learned a lot from Kyrie while he was here, and it's been great to see his journey, and see where he's at, all the stuff that he's going through, and stuff like that, to be where he's at. It's amazing. It's dope to see. How to stop him? That's a great player over there. So it's gonna be a full team effort. Him and Luka, making sure that we're alert, making sure that we're back in transition, and do the best we can.
Vinny, towards the back, right?
Jaylen Brown, Yahoo Sports. 2 years ago doesn't seem like a long time ago, but in basketball world, it can be forever. How are you guys a different team? How are you a different person and player from 22 when you guys were in the finals the first time?
Yeah, you learn and grow from your experiences. From being a 25-year-old to being a 27-year-old is a big difference. Yeah, I'm 27. And you learn from those experiences. We got a different team, we got a different coach too as well. You know, now we got Ime Udoka, now we got Joe Mazzulla, we have Marcus Smart, Rob Williams, now we got Jrue Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis. Got a different team, different coach. 2 years later makes a pretty big difference. Yeah.
Michael, third row in the middle.
Michael Pina, the rigger, Jaylen right here. What does Brad Stevens mean to you, and what does he mean to this organization as just someone who's been here for over a decade now?
I think Brad has been great in his role as GM. He was a great coach, and I think he just continued that by just being a great GM, being able to put the right pieces together and things like that. And it's happy for him. His schedule's been able to settle out, probably putting a little bit less stress on him than we did when he was coaching us. But you know, Brad has been great since he's been a part of the Boston organization. He's helped bring this organization back in terms of winning, and is now been able to move into that GM position and put the right pieces together to get us back to the finals.
On your right in the aisle, Mark.
Jaylen, back in the back right. Mark D'Amico, Celtics.com. Jason was just asked about looking back on that 22 finals as well. And he said, when I do look back on it, I'm just curious, how often did you look back on it and watch those tapes? Some people choose to flush it down the toilet and move forward. Some people choose to look back and learn from it on film. How often do you go back and watch that experience?
How often? I've watched it a few times now, maybe like 3 or 4 times. As well as last year's conference finals. I think you can always learn from from anything really, but just being able to watch those moments, and learn from them, like how to manage your emotions and like what you would have did differently potentially. I don't think that's bad to look at and acknowledge and be aware of. So, I would say, a few times at least. I've watched, the finals, the whole thing, all the way through.
Nicholas, second row here on the left.
Hey there, Jaylen. Nick Galley, Field Level Media. You mentioned brand new team, brand new coach compared to the 2022 finals run. How has Joe's kind of approach just throughout the playoffs and here in the finals been different from Ime's?
Just two different people. So, two different guys. Joe got his own style. Ime had his own style. Both were great coaches, but Joe has been able to just emphasize, what we wanted to be offensively. And we were with Joe for a little bit longer. Joe had like the interim year, and now this is his second year in a sense. Ime only had 1 year, and so it's hard to really compare and contrast, to be honest.
Jay, in the front.
Jaylen, Shane Allen, Forbes Sports. Everyone kind of points to Derek's defense first when they talk about him as a player, but offensively, what can you say about his decision making and the ability to set ball screens and make plays out of that?
Yeah, Dwight has been great all season long. He's been aggressive. We've empowered him, and he's primed for these moments. We want him to come out and recognize when it's his time to strike, and we feel comfortable with him doing so because he's been doing it all season long.
Gary, next row.
Jaylen, Gary Washington, Boston Globe. I asked Jayson earlier about being one of the more scrutinized players in the postseason, and you can relate to that. You've been scrutinized throughout your career. Do you guys, does that bond you together? Does that bring you together? Do you guys talk about that? Do you joke about that? And how does that affect like your mentality, your focus? You know, are you not as friendly? Does it affect you at all when you hear things? And how do you kind of take that to this moment where it's the biggest stage?
I think it's fair. I think it's a fair question. I think it's fair to say that it does affect you, you know, being embraced versus being scrutinized. And, you know, one of my favorite quotes is like, the child who isn't embraced by the village or something like that, you will, what is it? Y'all know this quote, right? Huh? You will feel like the warmth, the child doesn't feel the warmth of the village, will burn it, will burn it down, or something like that. Yeah, whatever. Neither here nor there. But, you know, referencing that, it means like, you know, you get to a point where it's like, you know, you get scrutinized enough for a large part of your career, and it becomes normal. And then it just rolls off you. For me, at least, I could say, I don't know if Jayson feels the same way. It's kind of been that my whole career, in a sense, you know, just being booed when you were drafted, to saying you were overpaid, and saying you overpaid again. It's been that the whole journey for me. So, you know, it just becomes another headline.
Bob, last question here on the left.
Hey, Jayson. Bob Schron. Again, piggyback on Gary's question, your journey has evolved a lot. In the beginning, you were coming off the bench. It was fighting for playing time. It goes back that far. And I know how Joe focuses on you guys, focusing on the on the moment. But how do you frame the legacy of this group in terms of winning a championship? As one of the guys asked about it being special as a Celtic, but it also has to do with you guys as a group.
And I think that's a great question as well. And I think this is a special group. I really do. The core group of it has been here for a few years now. We've been able to go through the experiences of, you know, having success but not having success at the same time. So I think that, you know, to solidify it, you know, the ultimate goal is to get over the hump and win. I think that'll add a lot to our legacy. But as of right now, I mean, that story is still kind of untold.
Thank you, Jen. Jrue will be up next. Okay. We'll take questions. We'll go first one, Vinny, in the fourth, fifth row there in the gray.
Social Vince Goodwood, Yahoo Sports. How you doing, man? We talked to Jaylen and Jayson. They've come in here. They both talked about their experiences in the NBA Finals and how they've been scrutinized both ways. You played with Giannis when he was going through a period of being scrutinized before he won. As a teammate, do you read that? Do you see that? How do you sort of try to alleviate some of those pressures in the moment?
You do your best to stay away. I think your mental health is probably the biggest thing, especially playing in the NBA Finals. But not only that, I mean, everybody gets scrutinized, right? You know, when I was in Milwaukee, it was about Giannis not having enough help the first two games or whatever. The pressure that JB and JT have to take on is something different, and I've told them this before, but it's really, really impressive how they handle themselves, how they stay professional, how they still come out every game and do what they do. So, yeah, I think it's extremely impressive how they do that.
Dave, back right.
Jrue, Dave McBennett with ESPN. It's obviously a team defensive assignment to stop anybody on the Mavericks, but I'm sure there'll be plenty of possessions where you're locked up one-on-one against Kyrie Irving. What's that challenge like? What can you do to try to nullify, thwart, stop, whatever it is?
Pray.
Kyrie.
It's I think it's just familiarity. I think knowing each other's game, doing your best to stay in front of them, trying to take away the things that'll probably hurt you the most, and then probably most of all, having help, him being able to see multiple guys on the court, making it look like it's crowded, making shots as tough as possible, even though he's a tough shot maker.
Over here on the left in the front.
Jrue, you've seen Jayson from the opposing side in big games. Has he evolved? Is he better than he was now than when you're seeing him on your side? Has he developed?
I think he's always been great, to be honest. I do think playmaking, he's done a really good job, and that's something that I never really saw from him before, where he's never afraid to take the big shot, or he's never been afraid of that big moment. But I think making the right plays in moments is something that I've noticed since I've been his teammate.
Nick, right next to him.
Nick Galley, Field Level Media. Jrue, you've been pretty open about playing with this team, how enjoyable it is, how comfortable you feel here. What makes this team different, and what makes it a team that can compete at this stage?
One thing, the talent. I know sometimes talent doesn't always mesh together, but this does. You saw it during the regular season. You've seen it throughout the playoffs, how any given night, everybody is just unselfish. I feel like we sacrifice for each other, and that kind of what makes it go. And then I think it's just the will to win. I think this team really wants to win. I know they've been to the Eastern Conference Finals a million times, and they've been to the finals, so they've been to the top, just didn't execute the way they wanted to. But now that we're here, we want to get the job done.
Tim Bontemps, back right.
Jrue, obviously you've played a lot of years in the league now, been through deep in the playoffs a bunch of times. So I was just curious, having played with Jayson fully for this year for the first time, what has stood out to you about his durability and consistency to be out on the court and play heavy minutes and carry the load he does all the time?
Yeah, he never wants to sit out. He never wants to sit out. And I play with a lot of players, and when you have your best player who wants to play every single game and takes the game that seriously, and even if they're banged up with the ankle or a knee or whatever it is, and still goes out there and plays, I think it shows a lot. Not only him as a basketball player, but his character. So.
Standing in the back left.
Jrue, Frank Carpano from NBC 10. When you come into this building and you look up to the rafters and you see 17 NBA championship flags, does it add to the pressure to want to add to that total?
Not for me. I would just like to add to it. I think to be a part of history would be cool, especially a history that the Celtics have and everything that comes with it. Again, I would say that I probably don't take bulk of the pressure just because we have Jayson and Jaylen on our team. So, but to add to that is, I feel like a part of the reason why I was brought here and a part of the reason why I want to come.
On your right, Tomer, standing on the wall.
Hey, Jrue. Just curious, on the other side, Dallas is a couple guys, and PJ and Daniel Gafford, who were kind of going to be on lottery teams before they got traded. Now they're pivotal guys on championship contending team. Just what does that say about them, but also just how much opportunity is important and fit is important in this league, where guys can contribute heavily, they just might be on a team that isn't the right fit for them.
Yeah, I saw somebody told me, they said they started from the bottom, like clearly from the bottom, and now they're at the top. That's really cool to see, especially playing against both of them during this season with their previous teams and seeing the role and seeing kind of how it went for them, and then now watching them in the playoffs and being intricate, huge parts of why their team is so successful. It is really cool to see, but they definitely are energy guys. They're guys that mesh well with that team and really make them go, and it's going to be a challenge for us to stop them.
Thanks, Jrue.